Hi, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good evening to everyone. So first of all, I would like to thank all of you for those who watched this video, and also to our lecturer for giving a chance to be here. And yeah, as you can see, we will gonna present to you guys about Western ideology, and we will specify to Scientism. So before we go deeper, let's get to know about our overview of presentation. So first thing first, of course, the introduction of the topic, and also we'll touch about characteristics and principles, and then we have impacts, either negative or positive, and also examples of their movement, and not to forget the strengths and the weaknesses of this ideology, and last but not least, we will gonna summarize to you guys with an infographic for the whole of our presentation. So without further ado, let's get roll. There's a proverb say that you cannot love what you don't know. So for the first step is let's learn about what the Scientism is. So the definition is Scientism is one of ideologies in the world which they believe that natural science is the only method to determine the truth in any field. Actually, there is a lot of definition, but I think this one is more easier to understand. So next concept of Scientism is it can be viewed as an extreme version of scientific realism. Why? Because the difference is scientific realism claims that they're able to provide some truth or knowledge about the world, but Scientism claims that science is the only method to gain knowledge about the world. So that's why they claim that science alone can render truth about the world and reality. So the point is that every research and methods are false if it cannot be proven successfully. So I hope you guys understand. See you at next slide. Historical development of Scientism. The first thing ever is that the roots of Scientism extend as far back as early 17th century Europe, which is an era that known as scientific revolution. It was developed until 20th century. Up to that point, most scholars had been highly deferent to intellectual tradition, largely a combination of Judeo-Christian scripture and ancient Greek philosophy. And then during that time, there's a movement called positivism which outlines the levels of knowledge such as theology, metaphysics, and scientific. And also logical positivism which enhanced the basis of positivism by introducing symbolic logic and semantic theory. The worst part is that it was affected the knowledge of philosophy and religion. And how about Scientism nowadays? Scientism today is alive and well, as evident by one of scientists' celebrity as that here. So stay tuned, we will go more deeper after this.
Okay, now I will explain about principle and characteristic of Scientism. What is principle of Scientism? Principle of Scientism is make science is the only method to define truth, or make scientific method is the only way to define knowledge. It means we can possess the knowledge through the science only. Now we go to the characteristic of Scientism. First characteristic is reject all things that doesn't have scientific evidence, which means Scientism not accepted the knowledge that not have scientific method. Second, the akal and sense become the only source that can be accepted. So other source like revealed knowledge source are not accepted. Third, denying the existence of God. And the last one is reject all metaphysic things. For example, ilmu ahwal and ilmu asrar. Ilmu ahwal is knowledge that we learn from our field, like we feeling sad. And ilmu asrar is the secret knowledge from Allah that He gives to the chosen people, which is the Prophet. For example, knowledge about paradise and hell. I think that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter. Macam hati ya.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, now I will explain to you the strength and shortcomings of Scientism. First, the strength of Scientism is it is rational. Rational to the extent that the beliefs that it accumulates are true, since the findings can be proven because it uses methodological Scientism. And the second strength of Scientism is it allows humans to explore and discover further what God has created. As example, the universe. And lastly, the strength of scientism is it provides important knowledge that may improve the world, for instance, technology. Okay then, here are some of the shortcomings of scientism. First, it may lead to distraction when fully dependent on science, as it may allow unethical acts. And moral values differentiate human beings from animals. While Islam is a religion which ordered its followers to behave with people in good behavior. Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran, "Indeed, Allah does not do injustice, even as much as an atom's weight. While if there is a good deed, He multiplies it and gives from Himself a great reward." And the second shortcoming is, for scientism, the existence of God regarded as a myth and a fabrication of human mind, because the presence can't be proven with scientific method. While Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran, if you were to ask them who created them, they will surely say, Allah. Whence are they then being led astray? Lastly, Ricardo and Adam Smith's economists encourage a selfish, egotistical model of human life. This selfish and materialist interpretation of humanity that was acclaimed as a universal truth declined to see human beings as the vicegerent of God, as the paragon of animals. While Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran, the man who practice charity and the woman who practice charity, and they who have loaned Allah a goodly loan, it will be multiplied for them, and they will have a noble reward.
Next is the impact and example of scientism. There are a few impacts that could be when people accept the scientism. First, people believe that science is the only source of knowledge. If science is the only source of knowledge, or the rational belief that everything that is not mentioned in science theories doesn't exist. Second, it will affect the prestige and public trust in science. Obviously, scientism followers have a great deal of faith in science and recommend this ideology to everyone, to the extent that scientism raises expectation about what science does too much. It can easily contribute to undermining public confidence in science. There are some examples of scientism. In 1997, physicist Lee Smolin, author of the book The Life of the Cosmos, goes one step further by applying the principle of natural selection to a multiverse new model. Smolin assumed that black holes cause a new universe and that the physical laws of the universe determine its tendency to excite black holes. Thus, the body of physical laws of the universe act as its genome, and this genome differ in their tendency to allow the universe to reproduce by creating a new universe. For example, it happened to the universe with a lot of carbon is very good at making black holes, and a universe with a lot of carbon is also a world conducive for the evolution of life. For his evolutionary process to succeed, Smolin assumed a kind of mutation mechanism in which the physical law of the universe can be slightly modified in the progeny universe. For Smolin, then, not only does our universe have to open because there were so many dice rolls, but dice are loaded in favor of a universe like ours because it happened to particularly fit the universe.
So right now, I'm going to summarize what we have discussed just now. Scientism basically refers to the ideology or belief that natural science is the only method to determine any truth in any field. It can be viewed as an extreme version of scientific realism. It started developed around 17th after the scientific revolution. It's keep growing, experienced through historical events, iconic events, and expanding till the ideology became popular around early 20th century. Next, scientism gives impact towards the reputation and people's belief. People will believe that the science is the only source of knowledge, and it affects the prestige and public trust in science. Yeah, so people assume that the strength of scientism is the rational value, and as they are using the strict method, and the result will be accepted if only it was accurate and relevant. But this ideology will affect morality and deny the existence of God. Even in the Quran, in Surah Al-Zukhruf, Allah has explained even human is one of His creation.
Once upon a time,
Yeah, welcome Hanzalah. Hey, Assalamualaikum gang.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam
How are you guys
warahmatullahi
doing? Fine.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, very good. But bro, why are we here? Is there an event or any program?
No, there's no event. Just because of one of our friend Umar asked me about something, so that I invite you guys to help him. So what's that, Umar?
So guys, just now I just found some word that caught my attention. It is scientism. It sounds fancy, so I just want to know what it is really meaning.
Scientism. You don't tell me before. So, for me in my opinion, scientism, the meaning of scientism is one of ideology or belief that natural science is the only way or method to determine the truth in any field. To simplify, this ideology claims that science alone can render truth about the world and reality. So what can we understand here is they said that science is the only real knowledge that can become as a reference for anything, for everything. And if anything that didn't have reference from science, evidence from science, so that is untrue or false for them. And that's what I understand. But what's Handzala?
So, as we know, everything has their weakness and strength, right? So, what the strength of the scientism?
Strange. Did you know?
As for the strength, I think I've read somewhere that scientism it allows humans to explore and discover further what God has created. As example, the universe. And furthermore, scientism also provides important knowledge that may improve the world. For instance, technology.
But fact, there are many shortcomings from scientism. One from it is it may lead to distraction when fully dependent on science, as it may allow unethical acts. The existence of God regarded as a myth and a fabrication of human mind because the presence cannot be proven with scientific method.
Wow, such a brilliant man.
But I think there are verse that I think related to the issue that we discussed, and the verse is وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَهُمْ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ فَأَنَّى يُؤْفَكُونَ. And the meaning is, and surely if you ask them who created them, and they would certainly say Allah. So how can they be elevated from the truth?
So now I understand. So basically, the idea of scientism is really dangerous since it rejects the perspective of our religion. Thank you guys. You guys are really amazing. Thank you.
So is this conversation really answer your question, Umar?
Yes, I'm very satisfied by it.
Alhamdulillah. So I think that's all for tonight. Thank you guys.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Right, Assalamualaikum.
Okay,
So,
see you soon, guys.
Thank you guys. Ma'assalam.
But scientism is the idea that science is the only way to truth. Bertrand Russell put it this way: whatever knowledge is attainable must be attained by scientific methods. And what science cannot discover, mankind cannot know. That's a very foolish bit of logic, isn't it? Is it too late at night for logic? Is that statement a statement of science? No, it isn't. It's a statement of what he believes. So you cannot know it if science is the only way to truth. So if it's true, it's false. So it's logically incoherent. Russell was quite a philosopher and mathematician, but his logic left him when he made that statement.
Come a long way.